Okay. Noticed I was getting some hazy water here in my 55 and couldn't figure it out. Didn't have any overfeeding. As a matter of fact, I had more fish to feed. And that was the first clue, my dear Watson, because I was looking after I placed the large Acei in this tank because he didn't have enough room in the 30 gallon that they were kind of the resettling. I restructured the rocks, made sure everybody had a new place to look for, and I noticed last night that I wasn't seeing a couple of fish, and sure enough, I found one floating. Thus, the detritus that had been broken apart from that fish was starting to cloud my water. And then I looked around today and thought, well, shucks, I took that other fish out. The filter should have worked. And then hiding in this back cave here was another carcass that had been in there for a couple of days. And I think that was one of my algae eaters that had finally just given up the ghost. Uh, when I took the Acei out of the 30-gallon tank, I noticed that my Salousi, the big yellow one, started chasing the females around because he was breeding in the other tank. And so I just went on ahead and brought all of them over. And that was the restructuring of my hierarchy. And it went from the Acei in the back and his little buddy and to the yellow Salousi that's somewhere hiding in the back. And that is the thing with imbunas, especially when you have a tank full of Johanni. When you mix the playground up, there's always a handful of bullies that want to come around and start knocking you off the swing set. So I guess the fatalities have occurred due to the restructuring. And there's my Acei, big boss number one. And there's the female. I think she's running. That's the female Johanni. But just a little information for you. Make sure you always restructure your tank. And don't be upset if you happen to lose a fish when you do take care of said restructuring and rehoming. And this is what's left of the 30 gallon. I left the one Salousi in here to see if he could grow before I'd put him in the 55. I grabbed my angels that were alone in this bottom South American tank, and I finally collected my polar blue parrots into the black rock or black sand tank the way I wanted them, and that allowed me to free up some space in their old tin. It's where I put these little guys. I love them to death, and they have really came out in their color since I put them in the little white coral tank. And like I said, and I bought some more, and they're starting to catch up. And like I said, I love these. Still waiting on this pair to start laying eggs. They were competing with my other mating pair in my 55 hex for space, and that's when all the restructuring and rehoming began, because I wanted to give each one a separate place to lay eggs. And when I moved them in here, they decided that they weren't going to lay. So I guess it'll just be a matter of time before I get those breeding. And here's my little guppies. Looks like I do have a pregnant female, or I think that is a nice little pregnant fish there. And I took a few out of this tank because they were getting kind of crowded, and I noticed when I was cleaning the glass a few minutes ago that I got a few guppies babies in there. The big mama finally had her fry, and so I grabbed a few of those males and put them into this other tank just to eliminate the crowding. And so we'll see what's going to happen with my angels here. And here's my angels in the 55 that have been laying eggs profusely. About every 7 to 10 days I get a clutch, and they go from one up tube to the other, and it looks like she's not full of eggs right now, but I'm assuming in a few more days she will be. I placed a slate in there at the I guess almost 30-degree angle that they suggest, so I could take the next batch out if they ever lay on it, but they ignore that slate in favor of those tubes, which I don't understand. But I wanted to take them out. I even put some plants in there. Hopefully they would breed on those, so I could remove the plant and raise the fry myself. I hatch the eggs out, but not so much. And then you'll notice here is where I put the other adult males. I think there's a pair in here as well, because they were competing. After taking all my parrots and combining them into the 65, I realized that parrots are jerks, and they are fun when there's a handful of them, but when you get a big old brood like this, they hide in the corner, they run every time you walk through the room. And that was what I was having in the dragon, and like I said, they're back there. So I did advertise these for sale, and I've got someone coming, I think Thursday, to grab the big pair of the orange ones and most of the big, if not all, the white polars. I mean, snow whites. And if that happens, what I'll wind up doing is I'll probably put these in the 65 with a slate sheet or two in there, and hopefully they'll see. And I might break this tank down and move it to the other room just to kind of get some variety or rehome, and we'll see. But right now, there's my schooling bunch of jerks that are up for sale if you're interested. We're going to go between $5 and $20 depending on their size. If you're interested, just leave me a comment. Thanks for watching.